What if I told you that the biggest thing standing between you and your dreams is you? You've thought about it. You've planned it. You've imagined what your life could be if you finally took action. But instead you wait. You tell yourself, I'll do it tomorrow. But tomorrow turns into next week, next month, and eventually, never. Let's be honest. How many dreams have you buried under excuses? How many opportunities have slipped away because you hesitated? The truth is, there will never be a perfect time. The stars won't align. Conditions won't magically become ideal. If you wait for the right moment, you'll be waiting forever. Right now, you have two choices. Keep waiting and watch life pass you by, or step up and take action. Every successful person you admire had doubts. They faced fear, uncertainty, and setbacks. But the one thing that set them apart, they took action. They didn't wait until they felt ready. They moved forward, despite the fear. And that's exactly what you must do. This video is your wake-up call. It's time to stop thinking and start doing. It's time to stop making excuses and start making progress. Because the harsh truth is, if you don't take action now, someone else will. And they will live the life you were too afraid to chase. So ask yourself, are you ready to finally move? Because the time is now. Number 1, understanding procrastination. Procrastination, it's a word we all know too well. It's that nagging feeling when you put something off, knowing full well that it needs to be done. You've probably heard the phrase, I'll do it tomorrow. And maybe that's a phrase you've used way too many times. But here's the reality. Procrastination doesn't just cost us time. It costs us opportunities, potential, and sometimes even our peace of mind. But why do we procrastinate? It's not because we're lazy, unmotivated, or incapable. Procrastination isn't an indication of a lack of desire or ability. It's a result of complex psychological factors that often go unnoticed. Let's break it down together. The root causes of procrastination. Procrastination doesn't stem from just one reason. It can be triggered by a variety of factors, and understanding these reasons is the first step toward overcoming it. Fear of failure. One of the most common causes of procrastination is the fear of failure. You may start a project, but the fear of it not turning out perfectly, or fear of judgment, paralyzes you. Instead of taking action, you delay it. Why? Because it feels safer to not do anything than to risk failing. But here's the irony. By not taking action, you're ensuring failure by default. Many of us are perfectionists, and while perfectionism can drive us to do well in our work, it can also stop us from starting at all. We convince ourselves that if we can't do it perfectly, we shouldn't do it at all. This mindset creates a cycle where we never give ourselves the chance to fail, learn, and grow, because we avoid the risk of failure altogether. Overwhelm. Another major reason we procrastinate is feeling overwhelmed. The task seems too big or too complicated, and we don't know where to start. It's easy to look at a massive project and think, this is too much for me. When you face a task that feels insurmountable, it's natural to freeze up. But the key to overcoming overwhelm is breaking it down. Instead of focusing on the entire project, focus on one small task at a time. This makes the challenge feel more manageable and gives you a clear starting point. Lack of motivation. Motivation often gets a bad rap. We tend to wait for motivation to strike, hoping it will magically appear when we need it most. The problem is that motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes, and it's often fleeting. The truth is, motivation doesn't always show up when you need it, and relying on it to get things done is a surefire way to stay stuck in the cycle of procrastination. The solution isn't to wait for motivation, it's to create it. Sometimes simply starting the task, even if you don't feel like it, is the best way to build momentum. Motivation often follows action, not the other way around. You don't have to wait to feel motivated to get started. You just need to start. Perfectionism and self-criticism. Perfectionism is a major player in procrastination. When we set impossibly high standards for ourselves, we end up getting caught in a trap. The fear of not meeting our own expectations can make us delay starting or completing something. What if it's not good enough? Becomes a constant question. The longer you delay, the more this self-criticism grows, further discouraging you from taking action. Perfectionism stems from a need for control. We want things to be just right, But the problem is that nothing in life is ever perfect. The pursuit of perfection often leads to inaction. It's better to complete something imperfectly than to never complete it at all. Start by aiming for good enough and accept that mistakes will happen. Mistakes are not failures. They are learning opportunities. The more you can let go of perfectionism, the easier it will be to take action. Lack of clear goals. Sometimes we procrastinate because we're unsure of what exactly we want to achieve. When goals are vague or undefined, it's hard to know where to start. For example, saying I want to be healthier is a goal, but it's not a clear, actionable one. What does healthier look like? Does it mean exercising more, eating better, or sleeping more? Clear, actionable goals provide direction and focus. Without them, procrastination can take over because you're unsure of what the next step should be. Instant gratification in today's world. We're surrounded by distractions that offer instant gratification. Social media, video games, TV shows, and more. These distractions are easy, and they give us immediate pleasure. Meanwhile, the tasks we need to do often require effort, discipline, and delayed gratification. The allure of comfort and entertainment often wins out over the harder, more productive tasks, leading to procrastination. But here's the truth. While instant gratification may feel good in the moment, it doesn't lead to long-term satisfaction. In fact, it leaves us feeling empty because it distracts us from the things that truly matter. The rewards of taking action are not always immediate, but they are far more fulfilling in the long run. Number 2. The consequences of procrastination. Procrastination doesn't just affect your productivity, it can affect your mental and emotional well-being too. Increased stress and anxiety. Putting off tasks creates a pile-up of unfinished work, which only increases stress. The longer you wait, the more pressure builds, and the more overwhelming it feels to get started. This leads to a vicious cycle. The more you procrastinate, the more stressed you become, and the more stress you feel, the less motivated you are to take action. The longer the delay, the greater the anxiety about the outcome. Missed opportunities. Procrastination costs you opportunities. Every day you delay taking action is a day you miss out on growth, progress, and achievement. Whether it's missing deadlines, delaying career advancements, or simply not starting that side hustle you've been thinking about, procrastination keeps you stuck in the same place, preventing you from moving forward. Decreased self-confidence. When you procrastinate, it erodes your self-confidence. You start to doubt your abilities and wonder why you can't seem to get things done. This negative self-talk only makes procrastination worse, creating a cycle of self-doubt. The more you procrastinate, the less you trust yourself to follow through, and this lack of trust in your own abilities makes it even harder to take action next time. Breaking the cycle of procrastination. The good news is that you don't have to stay stuck in procrastination forever. You can break free. And it starts with understanding why you procrastinate in the first place. Acknowledge the fear and do it anyway. The first step to breaking free from procrastination is recognizing that fear is normal. Everyone faces fear and doubt. The key is to not let it control you. Acknowledge your fear and take action anyway. When you face that fear head on, you'll find that it's not as intimidating as you thought. Each small step you take in the face of fear weakens its hold over you. Break down large tasks to fight overwhelm. Break big tasks down into smaller, more manageable steps. Instead of thinking about the entire project, focus on one small part of it. This will make it feel more doable and help you avoid freezing up due to the sheer size of the task. Set clear, actionable goals. Clear goals give you direction and purpose. Instead of setting vague goals like I want to be more productive, set specific, actionable goals like I will write 500 words every day this week. Break them into small, achievable tasks that can be accomplished in short periods of time. Just start. Sometimes the hardest part is simply getting started. Once you take the first step, momentum builds and the task becomes easier. You don't need to feel motivated to begin. Just start. Once you're in motion, motivation will follow. Section 2. Overcoming fear. Fear. It's a powerful, often paralyzing emotion that we all experience at some point. Whether it's the fear of failure, the fear of judgment, or even the fear of success, we all know what it feels like to hold back because of fear. Fear can grip you, stop you in your tracks, and keep you from taking the action you need to change your life. But here's the most important thing I want you to know. Fear doesn't have to control you. The reality is that fear is a natural part of life. It's something everyone experiences, even the most successful people. What sets them apart is not that they don't feel fear, it's that they've learned to act despite it. Fear doesn't have to be a barrier. It can be a stepping stone to your success if you know how to deal with it. So why do we fear in the first place? Fear often arises from the unknown. We fear what we don't understand or can't predict. We fear failure because we're unsure of the consequences. Or worse, we fear the judgment and opinions of others. We fear taking risks because the stakes feel too high, and it's easier to stay in our comfort zone. But here's the thing, your comfort zone is a prison. It feels safe, but it's keeping you from experiencing everything you are capable of achieving. If you let fear keep you in that prison, you'll never know how far you could go. Let's break it down. Why do we fear failure so much? Most people fear failure because they think it means they're not good enough, that they aren't worthy of success, or that they'll be judged by others. But here's an important truth to understand. Failure is not the end. It's simply part of the process. Think about the most successful people in the world. Athletes, entrepreneurs, artists, they've all faced failure at some point. In fact, many of them have faced failure multiple times, but they didn't let it stop them. They didn't let it define them. They saw failure as an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to improve. And that's exactly how you need to start looking at failure. When you take action, when you step out of your comfort zone and pursue your goals, failure might happen, and guess what? That's okay. Failure doesn't mean you're incapable. It doesn't mean your dream is impossible. It simply means you've learned something and now you can adjust and try again with more knowledge and experience. Instead of fearing failure, embrace it. See failure as a sign that you're pushing the boundaries, that you're doing something outside the ordinary, and that you're moving towards something greater than what you've known. When you reframe failure this way, it becomes a tool for growth rather than a reason to hold back. The fear of judgment is another big one, right? We often fear what others think about us, and that fear can hold us back from taking action. We don't want to be judged, criticized, or seen as inadequate. But here's something important to remember. The people who judge you the most are often the ones who are too scared to take action themselves. It's easy to be critical of others when you're not doing anything. It's much harder to put yourself out there and take risks. So if you're being judged, remember that it says more about the person doing the judging than it does about you. People who are out there taking action, making moves, and changing their lives aren't sitting around judging others. They're too busy working on their own dreams. The truth is, the fear of judgment often comes from a place of insecurity. When you take action and move forward, forces others to look at themselves and their own fears. It can be uncomfortable for them, which is why they criticize or hold you back. But don't let that stop you. What others think of you is none of your business. The only thing that matters is what you think of yourself. When you make the decision to take action, to live your life authentically and boldly, those judgments become irrelevant. So how do you start to overcome these fears? The first step is to recognize that fear will always be there. It's part of the human experience. But just because fear is present doesn't mean it has to dictate your actions. The key is learning to act despite the fear, to move forward anyway. Step 1, acknowledge your fear. Don't try to ignore it or pretend it isn't there. Acknowledge it. Fear is a natural response to uncertainty, and it's okay to feel afraid. The important thing is not letting that fear paralyze you. By acknowledging your fear, you take away its power. You show it that it doesn't control you. Step 2, reframe your thoughts. When fear starts to creep in, challenge your thoughts. Instead of thinking, what if I fail? Think, what if I succeed? Instead of thinking, I'm not good enough, think, I am capable and I will grow as I take action. Reframing your thoughts helps you shift from a place of fear to a place of empowerment. Step 3, take small, manageable steps. Fear often feels overwhelming because the task ahead seems too big or too daunting. But you don't have to take everything on at once. Break it down into smaller, manageable steps. The first step might be as simple as doing a little bit of research or writing down your goal. Taking small actions consistently will build your confidence over time and make the fear feel less overwhelming. Step 4, celebrate every small win. Every time you take action, no matter how small, celebrate it. This helps you build momentum and reinforces the idea that action leads to success. Each small win is proof that you are capable, that you are making progress, and that fear is no longer in control. Step 5. Surround yourself with positive influences. One of the best ways to overcome fear is by surrounding yourself with people who support and encourage you. When you're surrounded by others who are also taking action and pursuing their goals, it becomes easier to push through your own fears. Positive energy is contagious. Seek out mentors, friends, and communities that inspire you to keep moving forward. Step 6. Commit to your why. When fear starts to take over, remind yourself why you're doing this in the first place. Why do you want to achieve your goal? Why does it matter to you? Your why is the fuel that will keep you going, even when fear tries to hold you back. When you're connected to your purpose, fear becomes less significant. Step 7. Keep going. Sometimes the best way to overcome fear is simply to keep going, even when you don't feel ready. The more you take action, the more fear starts to fade. Each step forward builds your confidence, and soon you'll find that fear no longer holds the same power over you. Overcoming fear isn't about eliminating it entirely. It's about learning to work through it, to take action even when you feel scared. Fear will always be there, but you can choose to act despite it. The more you do, the less power fear will have over you. In fact, over time, you'll begin to see fear as a signal that you're on the right path, that you're pushing boundaries, and that you're growing. Remember, every successful person has faced fear, but instead of letting it hold them back, they used it as motivation. You can do the same. Your dreams are waiting for you, and the only thing standing in your way is the decision to act. Don't let fear hold you back. Step through it, move forward, and you'll be amazed at what you can achieve. Number 3, setting clear goals. Now that we've discussed why action is crucial, we need to talk about how to take action effectively. And that begins with setting clear, meaningful goals. Many people fail to reach their potential because they don't know where they're headed. It's not enough to simply want something. You have to have a clear destination, a roadmap that will guide you through the process. Setting clear goals is the difference between wandering aimlessly and having a clear path that leads you to where you want to be. The power of clear goals give us direction. They provide us with purpose and focus. Without them, we can get lost in the day-to-day, swept away by distractions, and left feeling like we're spinning our wheels without making any real progress. Think about this for a second. If you don't set clear goals, how will you know when you've arrived? How will you measure progress? How will you know whether you're heading in the right direction? Without a goal, there's no way to evaluate whether you're getting closer to your dream or just staying stagnant. Having clear goals gives you something concrete to focus on. It helps you stay motivated, even when the going gets tough. It keeps you anchored in your mission, reminding you of what's important and why you're doing this in the first place. Why most people struggle with goal setting. The problem is, most people either set vague goals or no goals at all. They say things like, I want to be successful, or I want to lose weight, but they don't define what success looks like or how they'll get there. They don't break down their goals into actionable steps, and that's where they get stuck. It's easy to say, I want to be successful, but what does that really mean? Success is a broad term. For some, it might mean financial freedom. For others, it might mean fulfilling relationships or personal growth. If you don't know what success means for you, how can you expect to reach it? Without clarity, you'll find yourself getting overwhelmed by the big picture and unsure of how to make it a reality. You can't hit a target if you don't know where the target is. How to set clear goals. The key to setting clear goals is to make them specific, measurable, and time-bound. A powerful framework to use here is the SMART goal-setting method, which stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Let's break that down. 1. Specific. Your goal needs to be clear and well-defined. Instead of saying, I want to be healthier, a specific goal might be, I want to lose 10 pounds by the end of the month. The more specific your goal is, the easier it will be to focus your efforts and take action. You have to ask yourself, what exactly do you want to achieve? The more precise your goal is, the more motivated you'll be to take action. 2. Measurable. How will you track your progress? A goal without a way to measure success is like a journey without a map. You need to know how you're doing and if you're getting closer to where you want to go. In the example of losing 10 pounds, measuring your progress could be tracking your weight loss weekly or recording your workouts and food intake. It doesn't matter if the goal is about business, health, or personal development. Find a way to measure your progress so you know you're on the right path. 3. Achievable. Your goal needs to be realistic. Setting goals that are too far out of reach can cause frustration and discourage you from taking action. But don't confuse achievable with easy. You should push yourself, but make sure your goal is within your capability, given the resources you have or the effort you're willing to invest. For instance, if you've never run a mile in your life, aiming to run a marathon in a month may not be realistic. But training to run a 5K in 3 months, now that's a goal you can work toward. 4. Relevant. Your goals should be aligned with your values and long-term objectives. It's essential to ensure that what you're working toward matters to you. If your goals are misaligned with your core desires, you may lose motivation or give up altogether. Ask yourself, why do you want to achieve this goal? What's the bigger reason behind it? If it's something you truly care about, you'll be more likely to stay committed to it, even when the going gets tough. 5. Time-bound. A goal without a deadline is just a wish. You need to create a sense of urgency to give yourself the push to take action. When you set a specific time frame for achieving your goal, you know exactly how long you have to work toward it, and that creates a sense of accountability. For example, instead of saying, I want to write a book, set a goal like, I will write 500 words a day for the next 3 months to complete my manuscript. The deadline makes the goal feel real and gives you a target to aim for. Breaking down big goals into smaller steps. Now that you know how to set clear, actionable goals, let's talk about breaking those big goals into smaller, manageable steps. This is where many people go wrong. They look at their big goals and get overwhelmed because the road ahead feels too long, too complicated, or too difficult. This is where breaking things down into smaller, more achievable steps becomes incredibly powerful. Let's say you've set a goal to launch a business. Instead of getting overwhelmed by everything that needs to be done, break it down into smaller tasks: researching your market, writing a business plan, setting up a website, marketing your business, etc. Each of these tasks becomes a mini goal, and completing each one takes you one step closer to your bigger objective. When you focus on one step at a time, the whole process becomes less intimidating. You're no longer looking at the entire mountain. You're just focused on climbing one step at a time. Creating an action plan. Once you have your big goals and smaller tasks in place, it's time to create an action plan. An action plan is your roadmap. It tells you exactly what to do, when to do it, and how to stay on track. Start by organizing your tasks. Prioritize them according to importance and deadlines. What needs to be done first? What can wait? By tackling the most important tasks first, you'll build momentum, and that momentum will carry you through the more challenging tasks. The key is consistency. You don't have to take huge leaps every day. Even small actions, when done consistently, will lead to big results. So commit to taking one step forward every day, no matter how small it seems. Staying focused and adjusting. When needed, there will be times when life throws you off track, and that's okay. Unexpected challenges, distractions, or setbacks are part of the journey. But when you have clear goals and a detailed action plan, it's easier to get back on course. Remember, it's not about perfection, it's about progress. If things don't go as planned, adjust your approach, reevaluate your goals, break them down further if necessary, and continue moving forward. Flexibility is important, but staying focused on your end goal is essential. Celebrating small wins as you make progress. Don't forget to celebrate the small wins along the way. Every step forward is a step toward success. Acknowledging your achievements, no matter how minor they seem, fuels your motivation and keeps you moving toward your bigger goal. Take time to recognize your effort, reward yourself, and keep your eyes on the prize. The more you celebrate, the more driven you'll feel to keep pushing toward your dreams. The power of revisiting your goals. Finally, it's essential to regularly revisit and reassess your goals. Life changes, circumstances change, and sometimes your goals will need to evolve with them. Check in with yourself periodically to ensure that you're still on the right path. If something no longer excites you or aligns with your values, don't be afraid to adjust or set new goals. Your goals are not set in stone. They are a reflection of who you are and who you want to become. As you grow, your goals will grow with you. Number 4, building momentum. Momentum is something that can propel you forward when you feel stuck, something that makes even the hardest journey seem manageable. But here's the thing about momentum. It's not something you can wait for. It's something you create. When you take action, even in the smallest way, you're building momentum. You might not see the results immediately, but trust me, each step you take is pushing you forward, closer to your goals. We often think that in order to be successful, we need to take huge leaps, make dramatic changes, or achieve something massive. But the truth is, success is built on small, consistent actions over time. It's those little wins that accumulate and eventually lead to something big. Imagine you're trying to push a car. At first, it's incredibly difficult. The car is heavy, and it feels like you're barely making any progress. But once you push it a little and get it moving, things start to change. The car gets lighter, the motion becomes smoother, and before you know it, you're cruising down the road. The same applies to your goals. The beginning is always the hardest, but once you push through those first few steps, momentum starts to build and everything becomes easier. I want you to think about a time when you took action and felt that sense of momentum. Maybe it was a workout routine, a project at work, or a new habit you started. At first, it might have felt overwhelming, but as you kept going, you felt that energy building inside of you. That's momentum in action. And when you have momentum, there's nothing you can't achieve. One of the most powerful aspects of momentum is that it feeds off your actions. The more you do, the more you want to do. It's like a snowball rolling down a hill. It starts small, but the more you add to it, the bigger and more powerful it becomes. This is why taking action every single day is so important. It creates a feedback loop of progress that keeps you moving forward. But here's the challenge getting started. We all know that the hardest part is taking that first step. Procrastination, fear, and self-doubt can make it feel impossible to start. But remember this, the longer you wait, the harder it gets. If you want to build momentum, you have to push through that initial resistance. Don't wait until you feel ready. You'll never feel 100% ready. The key is to act even when it feels uncomfortable or uncertain. Action creates clarity. It creates energy. It creates momentum. So how do you create momentum in your own life? Let's break it down. 1. Start small and build gradually. The first step is to take small actions. This is one of the most effective ways to create momentum. When you try to tackle everything at once, it can be overwhelming. But if you break it down into manageable steps, you can start building momentum from the ground up. For example, let's say you want to get fit. Instead of telling yourself you're going to work out for an hour every day, start by committing to just 15 minutes. That's it, just 15 minutes. At first, it might feel insignificant, but the key is consistency. Over time, those 15-minute workouts will turn into 30 minutes and then an hour. The momentum will carry you forward. The same principle applies to any goal. Start small. Don't worry about perfection or speed. Focus on building the habit and the results will follow. Remember, momentum is built through consistency, not through grand gestures. 2. Focus on the process, not just the outcome. One of the mistakes people make when they try to build momentum is focusing too much on the end result. Yes, having a clear goal is important, but it's also essential to focus on the process of getting there. If you only focus on the finish line, you'll miss the magic of the journey. By focusing on the process, you're more likely to stay motivated even when progress feels slow. Celebrate the small victories. Each step forward is a win. If your goal is to write a book, don't focus on the fact that you haven't written the whole book yet. Instead, celebrate the fact that you wrote 500 words today. If your goal is to build a business, don't fixate on the end profits. Celebrate the fact that you launched your website, made your first sale, or connected with a potential client. Momentum is built through the small, consistent actions you take, not just the final outcome. Keep your focus on the process, and the results will follow. 3. Create a routine or system. Momentum thrives on consistency. If you want to keep the ball rolling, you need to create routines or systems that keep you on track. A routine doesn't have to be rigid or inflexible. It just needs to ensure that you're making progress every day. Let's say your goal is to write a book. You could create a simple system where you write for 30 minutes every morning before work. You don't need to write for hours or force yourself to produce perfect work. The key is to show up every day and keep making progress. Systems and routines make it easier to stay consistent, and they also reduce the mental energy required to get started. When you have a system in place, you don't need to think about whether you'll take action, you just do it. It becomes second nature. 4. Overcome obstacles. Quickly, momentum can be derailed by obstacles, both internal and external. But the key to maintaining momentum is to overcome those obstacles quickly. When things get tough, don't let them stop you. Learn how to push through the discomfort, uncertainty, or failure. Every obstacle you overcome builds more strength and resilience and keeps your momentum moving forward. For example, if you miss a workout, don't let guilt or frustration stop you. Just get back on track the next day. If you experience a setback in your business, don't quit. Reevaluate, adjust, and keep moving forward. Momentum thrives on the ability to keep going, even when things aren't perfect. 5. Surround yourself with support. Building momentum is often easier when you have a support system around you. Whether it's friends, family, mentors, or a community of like-minded individuals, having people who encourage you and hold you accountable can make a huge difference. When you're building momentum, it's important to surround yourself with positive energy. Seek out people who inspire you, motivate you, and push you to keep going. Their energy will fuel your own, and together you'll create a force that's unstoppable. 6. Keep the long-term vision in mind. Momentum is not about achieving instant success. It's about the long-term journey. Keep your eyes on the bigger picture and don't get discouraged by short-term setbacks or slow progress. Success is the sum of many small actions taken consistently over time. The process of building momentum might feel slow at times, but every small step is moving you closer to your ultimate goal. Trust in the process and keep moving forward. 7. Embrace failure as part of the process. Finally, understand that failure is not the opposite of momentum, it's a part of it. Failure is inevitable when you're pursuing big goals. It's not something to fear or avoid. Instead, embrace it as part of your growth. When you fail, don't stop. Learn from the experience, adjust your approach, and keep going. Every failure is an opportunity to build resilience, refine your strategy, and get closer to success. Number 5, breaking through challenges. Challenges. They're a part of life. In fact, no matter who you are or where you are on your journey, you're going to encounter obstacles. This is a universal truth. But what makes the difference between those who succeed and those who stay stuck isn't the absence of challenges. It's the way they respond to them. Think about it. The most successful people you admire, the athletes, the entrepreneurs, the leaders in their fields, they didn't get where they are by avoiding challenges. In fact, many of them faced adversity that seemed insurmountable at the time. What set them apart was their ability to push through, to keep going even when the road got tough. You've probably experienced challenges already. Maybe it was trying to launch a business and failing, or working toward a personal goal and hitting a wall. Perhaps life threw something unexpected at you, a crisis, an illness, or a loss, and suddenly everything you had been working for seemed uncertain. It's easy to feel defeated in these moments, to believe that the dream you were chasing is no longer possible. But I'm here to tell you, that's where the breakthrough happens. Every challenge you face is an opportunity for growth. Every obstacle is a chance for you to become stronger, smarter, and more resilient. The key isn't to avoid challenges, but to embrace them, to see them as stepping stones rather than roadblocks. When you face a challenge, your first instinct might be to turn away from it, to find a way around it, or to let it overwhelm you. But here's the truth. Challenges don't go away by ignoring them. In fact, the longer you avoid them, the bigger they become. You can delay, but eventually you'll have to confront them. The real power comes from facing your challenges head on. Let me give you an example. Have you ever been faced with a task that seemed overwhelming, something so big that you had no idea where to start? Maybe it was a project at work, a personal transformation, or a major life decision. The more you think about it, the more daunting it becomes. You start to question your ability to succeed, and before you know it, you're paralyzed by doubt. But what happens when you break that big challenge down into smaller, manageable steps? Suddenly, the overwhelming task doesn't seem so scary anymore. You can take it one step at a time. Instead of focusing on the mountain ahead of you, focus on the first small hill, then tackle the next and the next. Before you know it, You've climbed the entire mountain, and you didn't do it by running away. You did it by taking action, one small step after another. You see, success isn't about avoiding hard things. It's about committing to moving forward, despite how difficult things may seem. Now let's talk about another aspect of challenges that many people struggle with: failure. Let me tell you something important. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's a part of success. In fact, failure is one of the most important teachers you'll ever have. It's through failure that we learn, that we adapt, and that we improve. Every time you fail, you are getting closer to success. Every time you fall, you learn how to get up stronger, but only if you keep going. Think about Thomas Edison. He is famously known for saying, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Imagine how many times he could have given up while working on the invention of the light bulb. Imagine how many people told him it was impossible. But Edison kept going, kept trying, and through every failure he was learning, improving, and getting closer to the breakthrough that would change the world. It's the same for you. Every setback, every mistake, and every failure is part of the process. It's not a sign that you're on the wrong path. It's a sign that you're on the right path. Because success doesn't come from being perfect. It comes from persevering through the imperfections, from learning how to keep going in the face of adversity. So when you encounter failure, don't let it stop you. Don't let it define you. See it as a lesson, a stepping stone that's guiding you closer to your goal. If Edison had given up after the first few failures, where would we be today? If J.K. Rowling had thrown in the towel after receiving rejection letters from every publisher, would we ever have read the Harry Potter series? If Michael Jordan had quit after being cut from his high school basketball team, would he have become the greatest player of all time? No, they all kept going, and so must you. But here's the thing about challenges: they are never easy. No one ever said they would be. In fact, if you're not facing challenges, you might want to ask yourself whether you're truly pushing yourself enough. Because growth happens in the moments when things aren't going smoothly. Growth happens when you're tested, when you're faced with something that challenges your limits. And here's where mindset becomes critical. The way you approach challenges is everything. A fixed mindset, one that believes you are limited by your abilities and that failure is something to avoid, will keep you stuck. But a growth mindset, one that believes you can learn, adapt, and improve with effort, will propel you forward. When you face a challenge, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I use this obstacle as an opportunity to grow? Rather than seeing challenges as roadblocks, begin to see them as opportunities for improvement. Every challenge holds the potential to shape you into a stronger, more capable version of yourself, but only if you approach it with the right mindset. Another important aspect of overcoming challenges is the importance of perseverance. It's easy to be motivated when things are going well, when progress is visible, and when the path is clear. But what about when things aren't going well? What about when you're facing a setback and you feel like you're not making any progress at all? That's when perseverance becomes your most valuable asset. Perseverance is the ability to keep going, even when things are tough, to keep working towards your goal, even when it seems like nothing is happening. It's the ability to stay focused, to keep your eye on the prize, and to continue taking action even when you're not seeing immediate results. This is where the power of consistency comes into play. In the face of challenges, consistency is the key to breaking through. It's not about making giant leaps forward every single day. It's about showing up, putting in the effort, and making progress, no matter how small. Over time, those small steps add up, and eventually you'll look back and realize how far you've come. There's no shortcut to success. There's no magic formula that will make challenges disappear. But if you approach every challenge with determination, resilience, and a mindset focused on growth, you'll find that you're capable of achieving far more than you ever thought possible. So when you face a challenge, don't shy away from it. Don't give up. Don't let the fear of failure paralyze you. Instead, embrace the challenge. See it as an opportunity to grow, to become stronger, to learn, and to move closer to your dreams. Because the truth is, you are capable of more than you realize. You are stronger than you think. And every challenge you face is just another chance to prove to yourself what you're truly made of. So keep going, keep pushing, The breakthrough is closer than you think. Number 6, the power of consistency. When it comes to achieving success, there's one word that stands above all others: consistency. We all know that success doesn't happen overnight. No one achieves their dreams with a single moment of brilliance or a one-time burst of energy. Real success, the kind that lasts, is built on the foundation of consistent action. It's not the occasional effort, the bursts of motivation, or the rare moments of inspiration that create results. It's the daily grind, the habits you form, and the commitment to show up day after day, even when you don't feel like it. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine you want to get fit. You know the goal: lose weight, build muscle, feel healthier. You might go to the gym for an intense workout session, maybe even for a few days in a row, giving it your all. But then after a week, you skip a day, then another. And before long, the gym bag stays in the corner and you tell yourself you'll pick it up tomorrow. Weeks go by and you're right where you started, no closer to your goal. Why does this happen? Because while those first intense sessions were important, the lack of consistency was the true obstacle. 1 or 2 bursts of effort are never enough to create lasting change. Success doesn't rely on the intensity of individual moments. It relies on how consistently you show up and do the work, even when it feels like the progress isn't visible yet. This doesn't just apply to fitness, it applies to every area of your life. Whether it's your career, your relationships, or your personal growth, consistency is what transforms your potential into results. The power of small daily actions. One of the most powerful truths I've learned is that small daily actions repeated over time lead to the most significant transformations, and they often happen in ways we don't even notice. Think about it. Every tiny step you take each day is progress. It's not the giant leap forward that counts the most. It's the collection of small, consistent efforts that eventually build up into something extraordinary. You see, success isn't about doing everything perfectly all at once. It's about showing up every day, putting in the work, and trusting that over time, those small actions will accumulate into massive results. Think about how a snowball rolls down a hill. At first it's small, almost insignificant. But as it gathers momentum, it picks up speed and size. By the time it reaches the bottom of the hill, it's a force to be reckoned with. That's what consistency does in your life. It starts small, maybe imperceptibly so, but over time it snowballs into something much larger than you ever imagined. You don't have to have a perfect plan. You don't have to get everything right from the start. What matters is that you keep moving forward, even if it's just a little bit each day, building trust with yourself. One of the greatest benefits of consistency is that it builds trust with yourself. And trust is a powerful thing. When you commit to showing up every day, even when you don't feel like it, you send yourself a message: I can rely on me. You prove to yourself that you have the discipline, the perseverance, and the resilience to follow through on your commitments. This trust is crucial because without it, it's easy to give up when things get tough. When you don't trust yourself, your confidence falters, and it becomes harder to keep going when the going gets tough. But when you've built a track record of consistent action, your self-belief strengthens. You start to believe that no matter how difficult the journey gets, you can handle it, because you've already proven you have the stamina to stay the course. It's like building a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Your consistency strengthens your resolve, builds your confidence, and gives you the inner belief that you can achieve anything you set your mind to. Consistency over motivation. A common misconception is that you need to be motivated to take action. People often wait for the perfect moment of inspiration or that surge of motivation to get started. But the truth is, motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes like the weather. Some days you'll feel on fire, and other days you'll feel like doing nothing at all. If you rely solely on motivation, you'll be stuck in a cycle of inaction. This is where consistency comes in. While motivation is temporary, consistency is sustainable. It doesn't matter if you're not feeling motivated today. What matters is that you show up anyway. This is the secret to long-term success. When you're consistent, you create a routine that doesn't rely on how you feel in the moment. You create habits, rituals, and systems that work for you regardless of your emotional state. Motivation will come and go, but consistency is what carries you through the highs and lows. Let me give you an example. There's a writer who wants to finish a book. Some days she feels inspired and writes thousands of words. On other days, the words don't come easily, and she struggles to write even a page. But she commits to writing every single day, even if it's just one paragraph or one sentence. Eventually, after months of consistent effort, she has a completed manuscript. It wasn't the bursts of inspiration that made it happen. It was the daily habit of showing up even when it was hard and keeping the momentum going. Consistency is not perfection. Another important aspect of consistency is understanding that it doesn't require perfection. In fact, perfection can be a trap that keeps you from even starting. Too many people hold back because they think they need to do something perfectly the first time, but that mindset is limiting. Consistency is about progress, not perfection. It's about moving forward, even if that means stumbling or making mistakes along the way. In fact, those mistakes are often the greatest teachers. When you commit to being consistent, you're giving yourself permission to be imperfect. You're allowing room for growth, learning, and evolution. Consistency is not about getting everything right. It's about showing up, putting in the effort, and learning from each step you take. If you wait until everything is perfect to act, you'll never act at all. But if you take small, imperfect steps every day, you'll make progress, and that progress compounds over time. Consistency in the face of challenges. Let's be honest, life isn't always easy. There will be setbacks, obstacles, and moments of doubt. You'll face challenges that make it tempting to throw in the towel and quit. But this is where consistency truly shines. When the going gets tough, consistency is what keeps you going. It's the habit of showing up every day, even when things feel hard or discouraging, that separates those who succeed from those who give up. Think about the most successful people in the world. Did they get there because everything was smooth sailing? No. They faced challenges, failures, and setbacks just like anyone else. But they didn't quit. They stayed consistent, knowing that every challenge was just a stepping stone to greater success. When you commit to consistency, you build the resilience to handle whatever life throws your way. You trust that even in the toughest moments, if you keep showing up, you'll get closer to your goals. The compound effect of consistency. Finally, it's important to recognize the compound effect of consistency. What you do today may not show immediate results, but over time it will compound into something much bigger. The more you invest in consistent actions, the greater the rewards. Think of compound interest. If you put money into a savings account, the longer you leave it there, the more it grows. It may start small, but over time the interest compounds, and your investment grows exponentially. This same principle applies to your actions. When you are consistent, you are making small deposits in your future. Each day of consistent effort adds up, and eventually you'll look back and see how far you've come. What seemed like small, insignificant actions at the time will have transformed into massive achievements. Consistency is not glamorous. It's not always exciting, and it's certainly not easy. But it is the key to achieving anything you want in life. It's the small, consistent actions taken over time that lead to extraordinary results. If you want to reach your goals, build your dream life, or accomplish your vision, remember this. It's not about doing everything perfectly. It's about showing up every day, putting in the work, and trusting that over time, it will pay off. Success is built on the foundation of consistency. So make the commitment today to show up, to take action, and to trust that the little things will add up to big things. Your future starts with the consistency of today. Keep going, no matter what. The results will come. Conclusion scene. Taking action is the only way forward. Think about everything we've talked about in this video, the dreams you have, the goals you've set, the things you've been putting off. Now ask yourself, what's stopping me from taking action right now? Is it fear, procrastination, self-doubt, the belief that you're not ready? The truth is, you will never feel completely ready. You will never have the perfect conditions, the perfect mindset, or the perfect moment. The only way to move forward is to start where you are, with what you have, right now. Every great success story started with a simple decision, the decision to act. The world's most successful people weren't born ready. They weren't given a perfect set of circumstances. They started with doubts. They started with fear. But they took action anyway, and that's what you have to do today. The pain of regret is greater than the pain of failure. Fast forward 5 years. Imagine yourself in the future. Will you look back and be proud of the action you took today? Or will you regret waiting, delaying, and missing opportunities? Regret is one of the most painful emotions you can experience. It's not just about missed opportunities. It's about knowing that you could have done more but didn't. Failure, on the other hand, is part of growth. Every mistake, every setback, every challenge is a lesson. You learn, you adapt, and you get better. But regret doesn't teach you anything. It just lingers. So today, make the choice that your future self will thank you for. Take action, even if it's a small step, because the pain of regret is always worse than the pain of trying and failing. Success is not about motivation. It's about discipline. Many people believe that motivation is the key to success, but motivation is temporary. Some days you'll feel inspired, other days you won't. If you rely on motivation alone, you'll never achieve consistency. Discipline is what separates those who dream from those who succeed. Discipline means taking action even when you don't feel like it. It means showing up, putting in the effort, and staying committed to your goals, even when things get tough. So don't wait for motivation. Instead, build habits, create routines, set systems in place that force you to take action, no matter how you feel. Because when you rely on discipline rather than motivation, success becomes inevitable. The power of momentum. Small actions lead to big results. Taking action doesn't mean making massive changes overnight. It doesn't mean quitting your job, moving to a new city, or completely reinventing yourself in one day. It means starting small and building momentum. Imagine pushing a heavy object. The hardest part is getting it to move, but once it starts rolling, it becomes easier to keep going. That's how action works. Start with one small step, something manageable, something you can do today. Maybe it's waking up an hour earlier. Maybe it's making a to-do list. Maybe it's sending an email, making a phone call, or simply deciding right now that you won't waste another day. Whatever it is, just start. Once you take the first step, the next one becomes easier, and soon you'll find yourself moving faster, achieving more, and becoming unstoppable. Stop waiting for permission. No one is coming to save you. Many people spend their lives waiting for the right opportunity, waiting for someone to believe in them, waiting for a sign. But let me tell you something. No one is coming to save you. No one is going to knock on your door and hand you success. No one is going to give you permission to chase your dreams. If you want something, you have to go out and take it. So stop waiting. Stop looking for validation. You don't need permission to start. The only approval you need is your own. Decide today that you are worthy. Decide today that you deserve success. And then take action to make it happen. Action eliminates fear. Fear will always be there. It doesn't go away. But action has the power to shrink fear. Think about a time you were afraid to do something. Maybe speaking in public, starting a new job, or taking on a challenge. Before you did it, the fear felt overwhelming. But once you actually took action, the fear started to fade. That's because fear is strongest when you're standing still. But when you take action, even in small steps, fear loses its power over you. So don't wait for fear to disappear before you take action. Take action despite the fear, and watch as it begins to fade. Your future starts today. Your dreams are not impossible. The life you want is not out of reach. Everything you desire is on the other side of action. The question is, what will you do next? Will you finish this video, feel inspired for a moment, and then go back to your old habits? Or will you take this message and turn it into action? I challenge you. Do something today that moves you closer to your goal. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be something. Take that step. Make that move. Start that journey, because your future starts the moment you decide to take action, and that moment is now. Final words. Go and make it happen. This is it. This is your moment. No more waiting. No more excuses. No more delays. The people who succeed in life are not the ones who sit on the sidelines. They are the ones who step up and take action. You have everything you need within you. The ability, the potential, the strength. The only thing missing is your decision to act. So go out there, take control of your life, chase your dreams with everything you have. And remember, success isn't reserved for the lucky, it's reserved for the doers. The choice is yours.